Okay, Dan Romeo, welcome to the Stephen Skinner podcast. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
All right, so this is your first podcast being on as a guest on any podcast, right?
Yes.
So a couple years ago, I was sitting at a table like this with someone else's podcast in this very room. So now it's a little bit reverse order here. I get to have someone on their first thing. So tell me, I have known you as a friend, as a real estate client. You obviously Eastwood guy, but tell me a little bit about a little bit of your life. How did you get into Eastwood? And I know you are making a big step running for, you've been a political figure, right? Haven't you been with the school board?
Yeah, I've been on the Board of Education for 8 years.
Oh my God. And you've also been school board president too, right?
I was school board president for a year, yep.
So one of my thoughts, I just wanted to know is what, was it a childhood thing that got you to the point of wanting to be in something where you representative people or hear people out? Was there something like that made that as a kid that got you to that point?
So I think my life kind of developed into that. Early on, my parents owned a grocery store down by where like the Julio's is, behind Dr. Weeks there. And we grew up in the store. That was our life. That was where my mom spent her time. That's where we spent our time. And we worked early on in there. And that's where I really learned that community aspect, because we were a part of the community and we were really trying to make the community better through the store. And those life lessons were things that I was taught by both my family and the community. And so 9/11 had happened and I was 11 years old. I wanted to go down and help. And my mom obviously wasn't going to let that happen. So that's what inspired me to become a fireman. So then I became a fireman and really just felt, hey, look, this whole like giving back to the community thing is fantastic. So from the political aspect, I was at Syracuse University working for Wegmans and had planned on moving down south. I graduated from Syracuse University after I became a fireman. So I wanted to do something with my degree. And I was like, hey, let me see what's out there. And I didn't need a full-time job, so I just wanted to do something to give back. And that's when I looked into the Board of Education. And after going to a few meetings, I said, I feel like I can help here. I feel like I can do something. And not knowing anything about politics or how it worked or knowing anybody in politics, I just started talking to people, said, hey, this is a thing I want to do. What do I need to do? And I got a lot of great advice early on and people that helped train me along the way. So I just kept that ball rolling, ran the first time, was able to win that first time. Then after being a part of it, decided to pursue it further. And that's what brought me to where I am now.
So that's awesome. Now, again, wife Nicole, and again, I think I met you guys right before, I think the big wedding day, right? It wasn't like right beforehand, and then I was pre kids and everything, right?
Yeah. So it was actually a year before our wedding, because
year before our wedding. There you go.
And,
so, but it was the discussion was kicking in there.
Yeah. I think we may have just gotten engaged.
That's amazing. And now we're 2 kids in, right?
2 kids in. Yeah. 2 kids post COVID. It's a whole different world now.
Totally.
For me.
And again, you said the kids are what are the ages now?
Yep. So one's 3, Francesca's 3, and Eliana's 1.
So something you mentioned right before we jumped on the podcast is that being on the school board of education, you get to see all these things going on. And even I get educated in my kids. I just had, obviously, my youngest 2 just graduated Corcoran and Henniger. Mm-hmm. But all the amazing options that are now at the Syracuse City School. So you said now there's a Montessori part of the Syracuse City School District, right?
Yep. So Lemoyne Elementary School on the north side became a Montessori school. Still a Syracuse City School District. It's just a school that you have to apply to. They start at 3 years old, which is fantastic. That's really something that I've tried to advocate for, where schools should start at 3 years old. That's awesome. When we should start educating our kids. And the Montessori program does. It's full day. So for parents that work, it's fantastic. And it goes up to 5th grade. So I'm very excited for Francesca to start.
This is going to be wild. A lot of meeting friends, and isn't Montessori very like hands-on? I mean, I was telling you that most people don't know my mother was a Montessori school teacher back in the whatever, I don't want to date her too much, but in the 70s, she went for Montessori school teaching, had her own school, and I was raised in Montessori school, so I'm sure she's going to absolutely love it. Now, were you a Eastwood, born and raised, or were you north side, city of Syracuse, or?
Yeah, so it's like that northeast side there that I was talking about, down by Dr. Weeks, just west of T-Lab. That's where I've spent the first 10 years. In 1999 is when we moved. My mom lives on Caleb, so
there you go.
She still lives there, and then what was it, 2018, 2017, excuse me.
We
moved our house in Ridgewood.
To Ridgewood. So, so
I've only moved twice in my life. Not too far.
That's a good thing. All very concise. And the thing I love about Eastwood is that everything is close by.
Yeah.
You know, my mother always talks about the fact that she's like, if I don't have to go more than a mile to just get to just about anything I need to go to.
For sure.
So, okay, so one of the reasons we want to have you on is to discuss a little bit. You are running for county legislator. So I know there's been district things and all these wonderful things, and then you've already been holding office at this city school board. What was the light that went off? Do you feel that you can make a change? And also, I want to hear a little bit about your vision. There's definitely something that probably said, you know what, I can help in this area. So give me a little scoop of why County Leg, and what do you think vision-wise for yourself?
Yeah, so being on the school board, I saw that our students were coming to us with challenges that were happening outside of school. And I think that the county can really address some of those to improve our community. And I think that right now the county is in a unique position that it needs to prepare for the future. And I want to see that done well. So there's a few things associated with both of those things. So being on the Board of Education, there's a significant need for more and better coordinated mental health services in the community. You know, we have some great programs that are provided by the county in the schools, but we need more of them. And we need to coordinate them better by having them through the county, because there's a huge gap there that the school district's trying to fill. And I just don't think that the school district is the entity that needs to be filling that gap. I think the county does, and then I think those services would be better coordinated for the families that are receiving them.
Got it.
And we can do a lot more preventative if we're ahead of the game. So those mental health services, having more of them and coordinating them better is really something that I would like to see. The way that we're going to be able to do that is by understanding each other at different levels of government. And I think I'm uniquely positioned to be able to do that because I've been on the Board of Education. I have relationships with everybody in Syracuse government. I'm building relationships with people in DeWitt and East Syracuse that my district covers government to understand what they need and how the county can help them and how we can all work together to solve the challenges that we face. Because I think that if we understand what everybody else is doing, we're able to be more efficient and more effective in the things that we're trying to do. And I think that I will be able to do that because of my experience there.
That's awesome.
Another one is that preparing for the future. We know that Micron's coming. The estimate's 125,000 people coming. Those people having expectations for being here and what they expect from localities is really something that we have to prepare for now so that when they come, they have a reason to stay and invite their friends and invite their family to come stay here, because we want this to be a place that they want to be, not just that they came to for a job. So preparing in ways like micro-mobility and transportation, or preparing in ways like economic development and making sure that we have businesses and structures in place. The county came out with Plan Onondaga, and I think that it's a great plan that hopefully we can help local governments to build on and to use that as a framework so that we have infrastructure that's built appropriately and makes sense for the future. Got
it. No, that's amazing on that. Now, tell me, I know with Eastwood, and I know you live on Ridgewood, and I'm sure there have been people seeing in the news between incidents. How do you think, as county legislator, the one thing obviously I continue to hear, just again, my feet on the ground and listening to people, what they say is on the crime issue. Is there something that county government can do to step in to help with our current, either if it's crime, policing, handling of situations? Mental health is obviously wonderful and it's very much needed. Anything on that end of things that you feel that you can be helping tackle or the county can help tackle? Yeah, so the Sheriff's Department falls under the county, and as somebody who's in emergency services, I will be able to work closely with him and understand, the things that they're facing. Syracuse Police Department would be responsible for Syracuse, but what I can do is have those conversations with the people that I'm in the room with, right? And making sure that those things are getting addressed, and making sure that the challenges that the people are seeing in Eastwood, that those are brought to the city in a way that is collective so that we can come up with strategic and systematic ways to address those, because the cops aren't going to stop somebody by walking down the street and catching them in that moment. It's just that the timing is inappropriate. But if we have systems and strategies in place that allow us to prevent things like that or bring those incidents down,
I think that we can build on that from that behind-the-scenes policy perspective, or just pushing and advocating for the things that they want.
No, that's great. And again, I think Eastwood is so uniquely, and East Syracuse, I don't want to leave them out.
Yeah.
East Syracuse and Eastwood are so uniquely positioned because even with some of the beginning construction, it looks like on the whole 81 project, Eastwood's sort of like in this interesting island where you have access to 90 still, 41, 690, East Syracuse as well, very much. So it really, for the grand scheme of things when it comes to the county, I'm always looking at it from the standpoint that I'm like, we have a very interesting opportunity to stay very strong where people can both live there, shop there. We're not like cut off where even when construction for 81, what do they anticipate? It's going to be maybe 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, so the contract for the southern part of 481 has already been approved. So that should be happening anytime here. So we'll see that construction like up by Kirkville Road and 481, and then in the southern part where 481 meets 81 right now. That'll be happening anytime soon. But advocating for the challenges that come from that, is something that I'll be able to do. And like you had said, is a great point. In Lotte, the old Bristol Myers there on Thompson Road, is planning expansion. And the people that work there, we want them to live in Eastwood and in East Syracuse, right? So how do we attract them? How do we say, hey, look, this is the place, this does have that access, and spreading that word and making sure that they know, hey, this is close, and look at all the benefits to it.
No, absolutely awesome there. So again, when I think about Eastwood and I think about all the hats you wear, so again, let me just make sure we get it straight, because people may be like, wait, they hear all these different things. So full-time firefighter, right?
Correct.
Okay. Obviously, father and husband, beautiful wife, Nicole there. Yeah. And we've been a homeowner in Eastwood, and 8 years now on the school, between school board.
Yeah,
8 years.
Finishing off my 8th year this year.
8th year on the school board. And then obviously now we're running for county legislator. You have a lot of hats. What happens when someone says to you, are you biting off too much, more than you can chew, the old saying goes? What do you say to someone who says, are you handling too much?
Yep. So I have a fantastic job that has a great schedule. We just went to 24-hour schedules, so I have a lot of days off. We were able to work 48 hours in 2 days. So I have those other 5 days that I'll be able to spend on the county ledge. Both of my girls will be in school during the day. My wife works during the day, so that during the week, during the daytime, is really when I will be available. I'll make myself available for learning and understanding what the county needs and how to address the problems that people are facing. So as a fireman, I'm actually uniquely positioned with more time because of our schedule to be able to do that. If I do get on the county ledge, I'll come off of the Board of Education December 31st and start with the county ledge on January 1st. So being a fireman, I have significantly more time than your average person, and I will also be able to spend that time that I'm spending on the Board of Education now on the county ledge.
That's awesome here. I guess one of my final thoughts and questions are, so as far as campaigning wise, are people going to be able, like, is there a website they can go to, or or Facebook or something you have? And are you doing any like door to door or any you want to talk about any campaign type events that you're going to be doing? Is anything coming up in the next, because I think we're getting down to a little over 2 months to go.
Yeah.
A little over 2 months to go, down to the sort of the last 90 days or less. Anything that you want to share about on campaigning, or even a website for people to go to either donate or get involved?
Yeah, so Dan Romeo for County Legislator is my campaign page on Facebook. That's where I try to communicate with everybody and use Messenger and push out the things that are going on. On that page, you'll see actually this Tuesday, I have a fundraiser coming up at Trappers from 5 to 9. That is really like a friends and family, let's all just hang out, get excited about, running, and hopefully we can raise some money there. But it's really like a come together kind of thing. I really want people to be able to enjoy this process as we go through it. And as far as campaigning, yes, door to door is happening. Knocking on doors, listening to people, introducing myself to people is something that I'll be doing until Election Day. I know people don't like mailers because there's a lot of them that go out, but it's a way to get the word out there. There'll be more events, as we get closer, and I'll be planning those. People will see lawn signs up, all of the things that we need to do to run a campaign, we're going to be doing.
That's awesome. So again, they can get onto your Facebook, keep the conversation going. I'm sure you would always be looking for volunteers or people if they wanted to put a lawn sign or something like that. They can ask or solicit, saying, hey, I would love to have something like that.
Absolutely. We need all the help that we can get. I tell people all the time, the worst part about campaigning is you'll never be able to do everything. So, the more you can do, the better. And the more people that we have on board, the more we can do. So it's always appreciated.
Well, that's awesome. So with all the hats you're doing and everything you're going, now I wish you the best. And obviously, your wife and kids, it sounds amazing. Sounds like, again, I'm getting to my ending years of my of the schooling of my kids, and yours are just beginning here. But it's a fun time. I love our community. I love a lot of what our city's doing. And obviously, I think we both agree the fact that there's always more that can be done. Yeah. And so we're going to keep on working to see a better tomorrow and a better Syracuse and a better county. So, Dan Romeo, thank you so much coming on the Stephen Skinner podcast, and we wish you the very best in your current legislative run.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.